Hello and welcome to Understanding Narcissists. Thank you so much for joining me. In this episode, I want to go into the narcissist narrative and backstory to a greater extent because it is a linchpin. It is a all-important backdrop and fabric of the whole abuse cycle. It is the origin of the abuse cycle, at least for you, where it's how you get roped into everything. It's the lead in, it's the first impression, it's all that stuff that charms you and gets everything moving forward. It starts the forward momentum. And I know I've covered this before. I think it has videos devoted to it. But it occurred to me that this element of the narcissist, it's a tool, but it's also a part of their personality. It's a part of their minds. It is so paramount to everything they do that it is extremely refined and sophisticated and nuanced to the point where it's well defended. It's something you're not easily going to take apart, at least not initially, because it's so important to them. And it's so important to the abuse and getting them what they need. And that is this flexible worldview, an irresponsible one, an unaccountable one, that allows them to appear responsible, but basically is able to convey the image that they want you to believe about them in a way, yet again, that it is not obvious, it is not readily apparent that that's what they're trying to do, but it is exactly what they're trying to do. It is exactly what they're doing. And so, this particular thing, which is a background process, it is always going on, ready to conceal the narcissist, protect them, blame you, someone else, have everything set up in a way in your mind so that it's automatic that they are not narcissistic, they are not abusive, it is not their fault, they're in this situation because of someone else. There is nothing they can do about it. You have to do something about it, or someone else has to do something about it, or both. All of that has to be going on. So it's an extremely perverse, of course, and flexible a mechanism, and omnipresent. It is always there. It is not going to go away. They're always going to be trying to push it on you. And the origins of this thing, while not going into too much depth about it, maybe forms in childhood and then comes of age when they're coming of age, as they become adults and begin to appear as adults. That is, they are not mature. They're not really adults. They physically are, but mentally there is something wrong, and they have to retain all those baby narcissistic qualities because they're narcissists. So they have to emulate adulthood. That's something this allows them to do. It immediately conveys to you in a way without them having to directly talk about it, what's going on with them, why they're such a catch, or why they're such a great person that you should be around or enter into a relationship with. It's going to benefit your life by appealing to your own desire to, I'm not going to say be abused, but enable this person. And that's what this kicks off and starts. So it's the first impression. It's the ongoing narrative. It builds up, or seemingly builds up, because it appears as though progress is being made. It allows the illusion of progress in that things are moving along, building up. There's something great just, you know, over this little bump that you're going through right now. And that's perennial. That's just indefinite. It just keeps going on in a monotonous fashion and putting up illusions so that you think something good is going to happen, but it never does. And there's always an explanation, the background narrative to explain why it's not happening. And that's what this is. Is it entirely deliberate? Is it all fabricated? I don't think so. I don't know if it matters whether or not it is. It is a part of a plan, but it's also a part of their minds, as I say. So they're not going to be separated from it. It really is them. The reason I'm saying this is because there's some behavioral considerations and things you have to consider in the future, maybe for the rest of your life, when you're interacting with narcissists, because your first impression is that the thing is a lie. Well, it's not really a lie if the narcissist believes it. Now, of course, it is if you can demonstrate that it isn't true, but that's not the point. The reason I say that is because it is not a mechanical, separate entity from the narcissist. It is a part of the narcissist. It just looks as though it's a separate thing or a reality, when it is not. It is them, flesh and blood, even though it's an abstract thing that is a tool meant to reach into your mind and make you feel certain emotions. That's what it is. So this thing is overwhelmingly powerful because it basically allows the narcissist, or at least it's supposed to, allow the narcissist to do whatever they want when people are not equipped to combat it. I can talk about how you fight it later on, but needless to say, let me just try to shed some light on this thing and show you what the potential of this thing is, because it really is the linchpin. It's the kind of thing you have to penetrate and get into to dismantle in your own mind, not in the narcissist, because you're not going to change them. It's a reflexive, flexible entity. And let me just get to the main point. That, have you ever noticed how a narcissist does not believe anything in their bones? There's nothing external or some value they hold on to dearly. There's got to be enough flexibility so at any given time they can either parade something as their own idea, or it can bolster them, and or it can be used to hurt you. Therefore, they cannot hold on to anything too dearly, because at any moment they've got to be able to flip on it. That's why there's no loyalty. There's no concrete belief system that you can use to identify them, because they relate to something so strongly. They do not have that. I think it's because they can't do that. But one of the reasons they can't do that is because, whether it's a choice or not, is because it doesn't allow them to maintain the reality that the narrative allows them to maintain, that they need to feel okay, or whatever it is they feel day to day. Whatever is their baseline level of comfort, which seems to be pretty high if you have to be a flawless, perfect individual all of the time, which seems to me that that's the narcissist's goal. They are perfect. I also want to make a note that I do think the narrative, if it is created, is really created by their parents, and so in that way it's handed down to them. I think that's going on. I think it can be bolstered and fabricated somewhat by the narcissist, but it really works within the abusive framework that they inherited and grew up in. So if there's going to be an origin to it, or a pattern, that's where it's going to be. And the narcissist doesn't want you to look there, because that's where the truth lies, and the truth will set you free. It will dismantle everything in an indirect way, because you'll get a different point of view where you realize it's just not real. Okay, it's sort of a picture of a landscape that has everything going for it from a certain point of view and looks real. And when you look at it from a different point of view, you realize it's just a picture and it's in front of your face and it's not actually what's going on. What you really need to do is avoid another attribute of the narrative, which is the carrot dangling in front of your face. Initially, the carrot will be something better is coming up, work harder, work harder. Then as conflict starts to arise, because you will be disheartened and disillusioned with the narrative and the illusion itself, you're going to resist the narcissist in an emotional way. Maybe a direct conflict and a having it out, a fight. But what it'll really be is your lack of belief, your non-belief in this monster, in this narrative, in this false, fabricated idea. An explanation, really, an explanation of what's going on. When there starts to see cracks in it is when you don't believe it anymore. The issue is then you start to engage them in a dysfunctional way so that they can abuse you by having it out with them, so that then this conflict starts to erupt and the adversarial relationship, which I'm going to go into in a different video. What I'm trying to say is that narcissists benefit and don't care whether you love them or you hate them. It only has to do with whether you're engaging them. That's the actual point. That's actually what's important here. The love you, hate you, friend or foe, ally, antagonist relationship benefits them either way. Actually, in a sense, the antagonist relationship, they sort of like more or at least as much, because it demonstrates to them and empowers them and assures them that they have control over you. Because you're still in the illusion, but you're fighting them. And they like to fight. They like to take that out. They like to see you get angry and upset because it allows them to channel their own feelings and project them onto you. It means they're successful. And it also tells them that you're bad and they're not. So that's something I need to cover much more thoroughly, because it's not just everything's happy, getting along, and they're getting you when you don't see it. They absolutely do that. But the thing that they really enjoy is the fights. And the fights that demonstrate that they're good and you're bad. And that's all the narrative. That's what the narrative is a part of. That's what it's generating. Because the narcissist has to have a foe and an enemy who's ruining them that they're putting up with because they're such good, angelic human beings. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. I hope I didn't go on too long by opening this can of worms that I'm going to have to go into greater detail in future videos, which is great. But still, I hope you liked it. Share it with somebody you think might also like it and benefit from it. Comment in the comment section below about what you think about this topic and how it can be expanded and what you'd like to see, maybe some questions you have that I can cover, or at least suggest a direction to me to take this topic, because it really is a big deal that I'd like to expand upon further, because it's a profound thing. And it's the linchpin, it's the foundation, and it's the invisible sort of shadow monster that is really manipulating you all the while when it seems like the narcissist isn't doing anything. So tell me what you think about it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.